Hello, my name is Destiny Erishman. I'd like to tell you about the importance of community policing. Not only is community and policing important on a one-on-one level, but it has been proven to make a great difference throughout one's community. My background as a criminal justice major and having taken a few courses on the importance of community policing, as well as my husband and several friends' backgrounds as police officers, I feel that helps make me qualified to give a persuasive speech on the positive effects as well as the wider spread need for community policing. So the question is, how do you feel about police officers? I'm sure many of you will agree with me that most police officers are hardworking, honest men and women. However, I'm sure there are some of you that would see them only as the media has portrayed them as racist, corrupt killers. The sad truth is, yeah, there are some of them out there that fit that stereotype, but from my experience, they are few and far between. For the most part, they are simply men and women following their calling to protect and serve their communities. Today we'll be focusing on those that are choosing to change the way people see them and those involved in community policing and how their effects have affected their community. The Shepherds in Blue program out of Houston, Texas, and Arkansas's very own Officer Tommy Norman are excellent examples of those trying to show how a little bit of compassion and effort can help us all come together. The Shepherds in Blue program is an excellent example of community policing because they are not trying to change their image to win over the community. They are changing their image because they genuinely care about their community and the homeless citizens in it, and they want to help them and get them the help that they need and deserve. Houston is has the eighth largest homeless population in the nation. On any given night, as many as 6,876 homeless men, women, and children can be found on the streets of Houston. Just to give you a little bit of a comparison, I live in Heber Springs, Arkansas, and our population is currently 7,174, which means on any given night, close to the population of my own hometown is without a place to sleep. The homeless outreach team estimates that 90% of the homeless they work with are either addicts or suffering from mental illness. Several of them they feel are probably suffering from both. The team recognized this and realized that by putting these people into the system would do more harm for them in the long run than good, because when they did finally decide that they wanted help, it would exclude them from being able to get a lot of the government assistance that they would need to help them. It was upon this realization that they decided to face the homeless situation in a different way. Beyond just trying to get the homeless off the streets, they're building trust with the homeless community by getting them health treatment, by getting them into programs to help them get them off of drugs and alcohol, as well as providing them with transportation to get them to these meetings and appointments. These men and women of the homeless outreach team are the front line to many of them for getting into contact with the right organizations to get them the help that they need. Working day in and day out with the homeless, it becomes more than just a job to many of the members of the team. It's a passion for them. You can tell it's a passion for these men and women by the effects that they have had on the homeless community. Since the program was enacted, they've shown a 37% drop in the homeless population in Houston, Texas. The difference an entire department can make when working together with a community can make a huge and very noticeable impact. But what about the work of a single officer? Can they make the same kind of impact that an entire department can? On a local level, to where I live is a school resource officer named Ron Wildman. Officer Wildman works on a daily basis to build a close rapport with the children of the local school. He sits and he talks to them when they're having bad days. He's out on the playground with them. He's been known to throw hoops with them. You know, he's the first one that most of these kids see in every morning. He greets them as their cars pull up and is dropped off. He dances with them to the songs that are playing. He's singing along with them as these kids are getting out of their vehicles and saying goodbye to their parents. He's the first line of law enforcement that many of these children have experienced, and by getting down on their level and making sure that they feel that their thoughts, opinions, and feelings are being met and heard, he's creating a lasting impact in their lives that will possibly shape how they will have future interactions with law enforcement. Another excellent example of a lone officer making a huge difference in their community is Officer Tommy Norman of North Little Rock, Arkansas. Officer Norman has garnered national and international attention for what they are calling his unorthodox approach to policing, when in all reality, all he is doing is a truly hands-on style of community policing. Officer Norman is a white police officer working in a predominantly black area and has proven by his daily actions that race doesn't matter, and that he is bridging the gaps by leaps and bounds between officer and citizen relations. Officer Norman uses social media to post thousands of videos and pictures of his daily interactions with members of his community. Whether he brings coffee to someone and they sit on their porch and just talk and have conversations about whatever's going on in their lives, or he's taking an elderly person out to dinner or a movie, dancing with the kids of the community. He's actually got a video of him and some of the other kids in the community doing the whip nay-nay. He's actively showing the members of his community, as well as many that follow him on social media, that they are important to him, that their lives and what happens to them throughout their lives are important and mean something to him. A few more things that Officer Norman has done to help his community have included the Shop with a Cop program. He started it a few years back, and he presents 50 students with backpacks and gift cards at the beginning of the school year and takes them shopping. He also goes around throughout the year carrying water, snacks, toys, small meals in the back of his patrol car, so whenever he stops to talk to someone, he's able to give them something to reinforce to them that they were heard and that they can call on him if they need anything. The exposure Officer Norman has received not only from social media but as well as from television, from local news coverage to several national media agencies like CNN and the Today Show. Officer Norman was also extended the honor by the President of the United States to speak in an open forum on ways to better enact community policing efforts across the United States. In closing, I'd like to say just how much I would love to see more programs like Shepherds in Blue and more officers like Officer Wildman and Officer Norman. They are excellent examples of how community policing can and should be done. Instead of being solely a solely reactive force, their goals are to help reduce the numbers of complaints and incidents by listening to the needs of the people of their community, by showing them that they can be trusted and will be there for them when they need them. With more organizations like Houston's Homeless Outreach Team and more officers like Norman and Wildman, we could see a staggering difference in the lives of many and the multitudes on many levels.